on, everybody? Welcome back to another exciting episode of the Viall Files Bachelorette Recap Edition. Back in studio. It's good to be back. It's really good to be back. It's good to see these wonderful faces, Allie and Amanda, who are with me.
Thank God you took that intro because we had to do it last time and it was a lot of pressure.
I think you guys did great.
Thank you.
Nicely done. I just listened to the first half. Nice little banter.
Yeah, it's like we've been doing this for a while or something.
Yeah, so go check out the Ask Nick episode that's out. Was out this morning. Some great advice, great content.
Yeah.
Good intro from the ladies. Our wonderful guest today, Blake Moynes, is with us to help break down episode 2 of this season of The Bachelorette. You also are welcome to join us in the Bachelor Tea. How are you, Blake?
I'm good, man.
You are?
I'm good.
Wonderful.
I feel like it's been a long time. I feel like this could have happened a long time ago.
Well, it's happening now.
Yeah, we're here.
It's like, where was my invite?
Well, no, but we had chatted about it before. But
I'm glad to have you. Yeah.
I feel like we've got a lot to talk about.
Do we? Well, you usually spend this time recapping in tea, but by all means, what do you want to chat about?
No, I just mean I've
update the people in your life.
No, I mean it's been a couple seasons. We've never chatted before, so I just feel like
How's your heart?
It's good now because time heals all, man.
Would you say you're 100% healed?
Yes.
You are.
Yes.
How long did it take to get to 100%?
Quicker than you think, only because I think she made it easy for me to just like, okay, I'm good. You know?
Okay.
If that makes sense?
Yeah. How long did it take?
Probably like 6 to 8 weeks, I think.
Okay.
Just because when the new relationship kind of took off, I was just like...
What was the hardest part about getting over that relationship, and what was the easiest part about getting over that relationship? I'm referring to his relationship with Katie, in case anyone doesn't know.
Yeah.
I think they do. But yeah, I know we're like bizarrely speaking like cryptic terms. I know you...
Yeah. I think the easiest and the hardest is actually the exact same thing, which is the hardest being trying to figure out how much that maybe mentally played into like how it ended at the end.
You're referring to her relationship with John?
Yes.
Okay.
But that also made it the easiest because once it moved on, I was like, hey, I'm good. Like, you know what I mean? It made it easy. For me, if someone does something, even though I really, truly, like I said, I really don't think there's any cheating there at all. I really don't.
What's your definition of cheating?
I'm talking like physically.
Okay.
I don't think there was at all.
But what about emotionally? I
personally do feel like just time-wise alone, it was just so quick that like there had to have been something there for it to like click that quickly.
Gotcha. But
that also like the jump between relationship just made it easy to move on. You know, it was just like, okay, I'm good.
And what's your love life looking like these days?
I'm not prioritizing it. I just feel like I can't right now.
You're not prioritizing
and
love.
Dating.
Why?
Like I keep the door open if somebody wows me, but I'm not, like I haven't been on a date in a long time. I just don't prioritize it. But I'm jumping around and stuff. I'm not ready to like fully take something on.
So there's not prioritizing it and avoiding it. And I feel like for you not to go on any dates, there seems to be some sort of avoidance. I mean, you're a handsome guy fresh off the 2 Bachelorette stints. I feel like you could procure a date if you wanted to. And I feel like you must be getting asked at some point.
Yes. I just feel like it's a waste of time unless someone's truly wowing me and there's really purpose to go out and meet. Otherwise, I'm like...
What are some of the things that like that wow you? Or like some of the things you notice at first that give you the hope or motivation to actually engage in that way?
Yeah, I think more so now it's alignment. So I've just so much recently dove into this whole wildlife conservation space. I'm doing that so much. I'm so passionate about it. And I'm always on the go and traveling that I would like to find somebody kind of in that space, someone that truly supports that, number one, and then maybe someone that lives a little closer to me.
And where are you living these days?
Just outside Toronto right now.
Okay.
Yeah. So, because that was an issue before. So
I feel like Toronto has some great women.
It does. It definitely does. But I'm also never around there, man. Like I've been out and away and traveling more than I've been at home. Like this last month have been like 5 days at home.
So right now you're just comfortable prioritizing Blake.
Yeah.
Okay.
It feels good right now. I feel like the right one will come along at the right time.
Why no paradise for you? Were you asked?
Yes. A couple reasons. One, just too much. I couldn't even imagine sitting and doing that again. Number two, well,
I mean, it's very different than what you experienced.
Yes. But I just, after the 2 seasons that I was on, going in and diving into that again was too much too soon. I felt good taking a step out of that toxic, like article this. I just didn't want to dive into it. It's been nice to be able to breathe and like not get caught up in another potential thing with, no, I'm good. I already been dealing with the Claire, Tasha, Katie thing. I don't need to go back and be diving into any of that.
Claire, Tasha.
Well, people are always like, "Oh, 3 Bachelorettes." I'm like,
I hear you.
Let me breathe.
Do you think the door's open for a possible return in the future? If like, let's say you do this traveling next year, and you're still living the single life, and you get a call, you open to going back in the future?
This is one thing I have thought about, and I'm like, as you know, I like to emote, Nick, and when I go into situations, I like to like dive in and really have like a reason to go there. That's why I went on Katie's season. That's why I went in so headstrong with Claire. Like I'm like, this is what I'm doing. Like I'm not very open. And so I think it depends. I don't know.
You want to be obsessed with someone first?
Well, no, but like I like
to like come in guns a-blazing.
I'm really, I'm not.
Yeah, I respect that. Yeah. You know who you are, Blake.
Yeah,
and we love that.
Yeah, so I'm like, if there's somebody there, like I'm super interested in, will I want to go and do that, or do I want to play it differently, maybe, and come in, not looking at anything, not interested in anyone, and just see what happens, which is probably the way I should go about things from now on, and not going so headstrong because it hasn't worked in the past.
I'd love for you to go open-minded.
I think that would be the play. And I've just heard it's more fun and more...
So it can be more fun. I think you could do well down there. I would like to see you narrate some of the behaviors on the beach. I think you would do well.
Appreciate that. What do you think? No?
I think it'd be fun.
Yeah, well, we'll see, right? We got another year.
We'll see. Are you close with anyone from either of your seasons? I know you're friends with some guys, but are you close with any of them?
Yeah, I would say Zach, Ed, actually. Noah has come a long way. Jason, yeah, those guys. I think for the first season, right, you bond with them. The second season I came in late. It was good guys, and I'm still friends with them, but it wasn't the same type of like first experience. You kind of bond off
also,
that.
You won that season, and the winner sometimes gets put on an island.
Yeah, and I tried not to make that happen. And I mean, I've rekindled with a lot of talking to Greg.
When did you think Katie was going to pick you?
I was pretty confident right off like the first one-on-one.
Okay.
Like the first day, I guess.
No.
Because I showed in late. Yeah, the first day, I think that one-on-one.
What gave you that confidence?
It just went perfectly. I mean, listen, that's what's crazy about that is start to finish, it went perfectly. I saw the things after the fact and watched it back, and I'm like, okay, maybe it wasn't that perfect.
So, but you didn't really see Greg as a threat ever.
I knew that he was the other serious consideration. And that was a mutual respect that we had in the house where when we had time to, be away from the guys, we would comment and be like, listen, because I could tell that he was also taking it super serious. And so
you saw that.
I could feel it from him, and we had like quick banter like in the house. I'm like, hey, just let you know, like I respect, like I know this is going to be tough, and I'm like, because I could respect that he was taking it seriously. He was more to himself, closed off, and you could tell that he was emotional about things happening in the house, and it was hard. It was hard for him to. And I knew he was kind of rattled when I came in.
You didn't think he was an actor?
No, and now that there's instances after with all the things that come out when I look back and I'm like, well, was he in that point? Like, did he have me too? But then I've talked to him since then. That's the thing is I've rekindled after. I only knew one side before, and I've talked to him since then. I
think it's interesting that you notice, like for example, because it resonates with me because like on Caitlin and Andy's season, both with Josh and Sean, regardless of like our relationship or whatever, I knew that like Sean was very into Caitlin. Like I respected his interest in Caitlin relative to like all the other, like, I knew Jared really liked Caitlin and Ben, I didn't honestly ever buy his interest in Caitlin. Not that he didn't like Caitlin, but like there was something very different with Sean. And even the same with Josh. Like I bought Josh's interest in Andy. I didn't buy Chris Soules. And so I think it's interesting that you noticed that about Greg, and that speaks to what you perceived as his sincerity about the process when he was going through it.
I would say, like when I came off, and those things were going around, I'm like, well, he's got to be really damn good at it then, because like I remember like in the moment, I'm like,
because he took an acting class.
Yeah, I was going to say like, if that's it, right? So my tune has changed on that massively, and especially because I've talked to him, and I didn't before. All I knew was one side before, and I've heard kind of both now, and it's kind of just changed my outlook on all of it. The whole season altogether. I don't even know. 2 weeks ago, for the first time, I was filming stuff with wolves in Connecticut, and I brought someone along with me who hadn't seen anything. I was just away doing this thing, and the person that I came to film it, she hadn't seen anything before, and I was like, listen, I haven't seen anything since, but I could hear her. Here's a clip, like, of you could see what it's like in this, and that was it. I've never felt so icky watching something back.
What scene did you show her?
Well, she clicked on one from the first season first, and it was like the funny one where I went a little overboard with that orgasm scene, if you remember. And then now we went into, then she clicked on one where it was like an intimate, very intimate with, and I'm like, you know, the music and the song and all, and I'm like, I will never watch that shit back again. Not even, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to, it's just icky.
Will you tell us what was blacked out on your painting?
Yeah.
Oh my God,
you.
yes.
Allie.
Thank you, Allie. The question on America's Heart.
Did you ever answer that?
Yeah. It might have come up somewhere. It was the seeds of life.
What the fuck is
So
that?
Semen?
Cum?
Yes.
Why'd you draw cum on it?
What? What do you mean you drew ejaculation? Ejaculate?
Okay, hold on a
The
second.
seeds, and who refers to it as the seeds of life?
Well, because I don't like talking about it like that. Because I talked about it in a very, like, the way I explained it was like,
I thought like the seeds of life would be like some like poem from like a poem called The Seeds of Life.
well, okay. So
How did you draw it? Can you draw it for? Can we get Blake a pen?
I blocked
Get
out.
Blake a pen. I want to see what he drew.
No, you can't. You
Use one
can't
of
really.
the books. Write it in the book.
I mean, listen. You can imagine. I just took a paintbrush. I dipped it in water. I made a black canvas.
Here, draw it for me. We won't black it out on this show.
The seeds of life.
How did you even pick up on that?
It was, something that's blacked out, seeds of life.
So you drew a bunch of tadpoles.
No, I dipped a paintbrush in water with paint, and I stood back and I flicked, and so it went.
So splatter.
And the idea.
Why was it? Did you put a PP on it? Why was it blacked out?
Because it was very.
I feel like this is semen.
It was very.
I'm sorry,
clear
but
as
if
to
you
what it
flick
was.
something like that,
And when I'm talking and explaining it, then be like,
what
then
was
they would
the
get-
prompt again? What were you supposed to paint?
I don't
It
remember.
was like an expression of love.
Expression, and I was talking to, I forget what it was, but I think my explanation was pretty good. See, the difference here is that, you know, I made that, you know, sculpture I made on the other season, which I got a lot of flack for, which also had a great explanation to it that they never showed. And so this was a different type.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, that they had the explanation for this, which I was happy that, you know, they showed this time. Otherwise, I would have got flack for that too.
Seeds of life.
That's the title of this episode
Seeds of life.
with Blake Moynes.
Someone going forward is gonna like, he could grab a towel and wipe the seeds of life off my stomach.
I want you to seeds of life on my face.
Oh, listen, I mean, yeah. I mean, when you're
Are
explaining
you
it-
ready for my seeds of life?
okay, but can you imagine going up there and there's all these cameras and you're,
Oh my
and you're
God,
like,
so
whoa,
much
Blake,
seeds
what is
of life
that?
all over me? Like, ugh.
Yeah, but you're not saying
Pre-seeds
You're not
of
saying-
life.
you're not saying
Is that your
cum.
pre-seeds
like, you're
of
not
life?
doing that. When the artist asks, "What is that?" I'm not going, "Oh, it's cum." Like, no, I'm not. Like, I'm like, it's seeds of life. And the explanation was supposed to be like nice. Like,
We love you, Blake. Hey, you jewelry lovers out there, Missouri. Whoo, they make amazing jewelry. And what I love about it is that for me, I love it that it's super affordable. And I love it that the ladies like it. And by lady, I mean my girlfriend.
And I also think with jewelry, like, you know, you have that one pair of earrings that you wear 90% of the time. It's so worth investing in. And Missouri is made for long-term use. Like, it is not going to fall apart. It's not flimsy. It's really high quality stuff. And it looks fire.
They do fine jewelry without the classic markups that are sometimes 10 times of what it should be. This season, they are celebrating with pieces that are bold, new, and completely you. They make stacking easy with versatile fine jewelry that you can rely on. What's your favorite pieces?
I like their rings because you could wear them by themselves or you can stack them together.
Make your own day and go to Missouri.com. That's MEJURI.com. Should we get into...
Should we jump right in?
Should we jump in?
Oh, we love some Bachelor tea.
Blake, you are welcome to participate however you choose.
Okay.
The rules of this segment is they ask for attention. We tend to give it to them.
okay.
Woo! All right. So there was a little bit of feedback after our episode last week where we discussed the Katie of it all. And Blake Horstmann took to his Instagram story about Nick. And he said, quote, "This has to be a joke, right? This man has talked shit about me for 4 years because he can't get over, even though he tells everyone to get over everything, my text release from BIP for an actual big deal. Then he releases text for something as stupid and benign as this.
Big deal.
Biggest hypocrite in the world. So he's saying,
I think he meant it
his
was
with
incredibly
Kaylin
important that people know.
was
He was
a
like the
great-
WikiLeaks
yeah.
of Bachelor Nation.
and you need to apparently let things go.
I'm not surprised that that was his response. I anticipated he might respond. I'm sure some people might agree with him. I definitely see a difference between the two. Yeah, I see a difference between me responding to Katie's random claim that she had me blocked from her phone, suggesting that there was some sort of like texting relationship that didn't exist, and then providing context around that by sharing the very last text message that she ever sent me, compared to Blake, who decided to post an entire screenshotted conversation about a sexual encounter he had with someone because he didn't like his fuckboy edit that he got from a show. A fuckboy edit that I would argue that he very much earned.
Man had a lot of sex.
He had a lot of sex. I've seen the man in action.
He put the fucking fuckboy.
And which is fine. But he was gifted the Ben Higgins edit. And then he took that gift and had a ton of fun with a ton of different people. And he left a trail of collateral damage. And that came to a head on the beaches of paradise. And instead of looking at how his behavior and his choices might have played a role in that fuckboy edit, he decided to take someone down with him, even though he was advised by friends of his not to post it and was warned how it might affect the people involved. Instead of taking their advice, no, he reached out to the person he would affect, demanded that they put out a public statement or else. And when that person didn't do what he asked or demanded, he posted it all over his social. So yeah, I guess I see a bit of a difference between those two situations, which not everyone will agree with, but, and that's okay. We still appreciate you listening.
And I also think it's funny for him to say this man has talked shit about me for 4 years. When I'm like, we only bring you into the conversation when you bring yourself into the conversation.
Well, thank you for saying that. That's listen, like we started this segment. Like this segment, this Bachelor Tea segment, not my favorite to talk about.
No, not mine either.
But you all love it.
You all being listeners.
The
yeah.
listener. And so who are we to say no to what we're trying to provide an entertaining show for you guys. And we do it with some ground rules. And those ground rules are, if you ask for attention, we'll give it to you. We try not to spread hearsay or gossip.
If you post something, it's free game.
If you post it, if you talk about it. So if you're Blake Horstmann, not Blake Moynes, or if you're Blake Moynes, if you go on your social or other podcasts and you spread misinformation about the show, the people who make it, and more importantly, other people are on with you, so that you can promote some false narrative that you're more like the Blake from Becca's season than the Blake from Paradise, then we'll probably have something to say about it. And that, like, if you want to be a fuckboy, but don't bring other people down and don't spread misinformation about other people just because you don't want to like handle it. And you don't want the criticism. And for anyone who wants to like bring up the debacle of AFR with Andy, I've been criticized for it. I've taken the criticism. I've acknowledged that I've, on several occasions, wish I didn't say it. I've apologized privately and publicly to the person I affected. And my regret is around the fact that how it affected other people. Unlike Blake, who to this day will still say that he would still post this thing, regardless of how it impacted someone else's life. It's easier for him to blame other people rather than look in the mirror and consider that maybe his choices and his actions are the primary reason that things may not have worked out the way he wanted. It's not like I have this thing against any of these people, but if you're gonna say shit, look, we're gonna respond. And if you like the attention, by all means, we love the content.
Thank you.
And we also love you using your platform to promote our podcast. That's also generous.
Well, there's not like a ton of tea. There's some happy news in the nation. Jed Wyatt proposed to his girlfriend of 3 years. You know, you might remember Jed from Hannah Brown season.
I do remember Jed.
But yes, he wrote a very, very long caption about everything they've been through and how he can't wait.
He got engaged. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, congratulations to Jed.
On Friday, Dylan, Hannah G, Luke Pell, they all commented. Hannah Brown did not comment. Did not surprise me in the slightest, but people seemed to flag that.
I didn't expect her to comment.
Exactly. And Nick, because I knew you were going to ask, she still does not follow her future sister-in-law, who was Jed's ex. So now Jed and the ex are both engaged. Yay.
Great. Everyone's in love.
Everyone has found a new person.
And Hannah Brown will be forced to go to
the wedding.
I'll always be team Hannah Brown on that story.
Yep. Becca and Thomas bought a house.
I saw that.
Yeah.
I did.
Becca posted on Instagram, officially co-home owners. Tommy is my new roommate and Minnow and Leo are our new tenants. Well, she said, let's fill this home with so many laughs, meals, memories, and maybe a couple babies.
Ooh.
They want the babies. But yeah.
Maybe a couple, that's two.
Maybe a couple babies. Susie and Clayton have decided that they're moving to Scottsdale. You know, he was in Arizona. They did that cross-country road trip. Now they're going back.
They're going back.
Yeah. And they did discuss with Caitlin Bristow the premiere night, all of the Clayton slander, all that stuff that brought up. And Susie said, Clayton handled it better overall than I did. I was annoyed. He can laugh at himself and I can laugh at Clayton and I can laugh at myself. But also my fear is, does this open the floodgates back up of all of the hate and stuff? But Clayton definitely was going with the flow. He was able to laugh.
Yeah. I mean, like we said it last week, I thought it was bullshit that the show did that. I thought it was unnecessary and mean to their former lead. And I just got to say, you know, it comes to Clayton and Susie, specifically Clayton, piggybacking off what we just mentioned about Blake. Like, that's why Clayton has all my respect and why Blake has none of it. Because Clayton, he made mistakes. And no one was harder on Clayton than I was on this show. And Clayton fucked up and he made some choices that affected other people. And he recognized it. He reflected on it. He owned it. And he could have blamed other people. He had a lot of reasons to like criticize the show. And it's not like we've ever, like, it's not like even Blake didn't have reasons to be frustrated with the show. We've all been there. I know, I assume that you have things that you're frustrated with the show about. I certainly have been there. But like, some people choose to like look at what they can control and then they focus on the mistakes that they made. And Clayton made mistakes and he's done nothing but like take ownership of those mistakes. He hasn't blamed the show and the show left him on an island. I mean, he could easily be like, I didn't know what I was doing. And like, they just let me like bury myself.
I also think it's significant that he's taken on a level of responsibility and growth that is good enough to one of the people who's most directly impacted by his behavior. Like, I think Susie has incredible judgment. And if he is proceeding in a way that is good enough for someone who is so harmed or sort of like at the center of everything, I think that's also a big testament to like how authentic him trying to do this work and growth is.
But like, that's more importantly is like, he hasn't like every time he gets interviewed, he doesn't make excuses. He talks about what he could have done differently and what he's learned and how he would try to improve on that situation. And like, that's all we can try to do is just learn from our mistakes, not constantly blame others by throwing other people under the bus.
They even did like a little, like they did TikToks about the whole night. Susie did the Will Smith, get my wife's name out of your mouth thing. They lip synced to the Clayton Sucks kids choir.
Yeah, no,
like they're great.
Susie's TikToks are hysterical. She's born for it. She's very funny and they're good. I love those two. Like one of my favorite Bachelor Nation couples.
Yeah,
Well,
he's turned it around big time. I was going to message him the other day. He was posting something and he's like doing all the workout stuff and he's showing what they're actually like. And it's just like all the things he's went through, he could have went a whole other way.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it's easy for contestants to go the other way when things don't go the way you think on the show. I think everyone goes into the show with high expectations. I'm going to look like this. This is going to happen for me, all these things.
Them and their moms are like, you're going to be the next star.
And then when it doesn't happen, right, people attack. They go, it's like, you signed that, like, why did you come up with the highest expectation ever? Because you're only setting yourself up for failure. And if it really doesn't go the way you want it, you attack the show. It's just I don't know, it can be a worse look. Like, just own it. You own it. It's what you signed up for.
Yeah, I mean,
It's easier said because, I haven't had it terrible. And maybe that day will come. But I don't know. I think you got to come in with less expectations and
Be pleasantly surprised.
yes.
Should we get into the episode?
Yeah, let's get into the episode. All right. A lot of surprises this episode. I don't know how you guys felt, but Gabby and Rachel keeping us on our toes. From Jordan, is it V? Jordan V going home. I think everyone was surprised there.
Yeah.
Mario getting the last rose. Not that that's really Gabby or Rachel's choice, but like, I'm curious about that. We can discuss that.
Chris being booted in the middle of the cocktail party.
Well, that wasn't necessarily a surprise.
I just thought that it was funny when he came back.
But like, I was just more like Jordan V going home on the first one-on-one with Rachel. I think that was very much a surprise. Mario getting the very last rose of the was a surprise. We'll discuss those and what that means. What's his name? We had him in our top 4 for Gabby, and he's gone.
I know, Ryan.
Yeah, Mr. Boston, like
Mr. Whiteboard.
Like, Clayton 2.0. Maybe it was just Clayton PTSD. They had such good rapport that they showed night one.
I'm like, he fucked up in some way.
Something happened.
Because like they had banter. So if he's going home, I feel like he must have something.
And like didn't Gabby say like it wasn't like she commented on the banter? Did she not?
Yeah, that was like easy, I think.
Yeah, I think you're right. Like something he must have said something weird.
He was surprised too. Like you could see he was super surprised.
Oh, yeah.
So
when you think about like what we've heard from Gabby and Rachel so far, how night one they talked to half of the men. So right off the bat, you're just like, okay, I really don't know half these people. And then again, like it's so hard to like have banter. Everyone's nervous to meet someone who just like is easy to talk to. Like the fact that like Gabby didn't get engaged to Ryan is not surprising, but for him going home week 2, knowing what it's like to be the lead and just being like, yeah, let's just keep this guy around. He's easy to talk to. Like my guess is either he said something weird to Gabby, or he was one of those people who showed up and immediately started like pointing things out, like pointing out the cameras and like critiquing the like production of it all. Like that'll happen. Like,
yeah.
The people are into the house the first week, and then like they're making a TV show. So like the producers obviously want people who are going to like buy into the process. Like it's a fucking weird process. There are group dates and 2-on-1s and 1-on-1s and roses. It's fucking weird. So let's just go along with it. And there are other people who show up and immediately start like being the know-it-alls and start like pointing shit out and like picking up on like, oh, like you're just trying to make me do this. And it's just like, I mean, the producers are offering suggestions, so you like kind of like they're trying to grease the wheels, so to speak. They're just honestly trying to help you out, but like sometimes people will be really resistant to that, and those people usually get the boot, unless the lead is like, no, I want to marry them. So my guess it's one of those two. Like he either was like kind of just being difficult to work with, or he said something weird to Gabby.
And I feel like they would have shown it had he said something weird. That would have been good TV, right?
Probably, yeah. If there was like an awkward, yeah, you think. Because there's still like so far pretty like anticlimactic season. I know it's early, but it's been pretty like boring.
Mm-hmm.
I think if that Chris guy stayed along a little longer, we could have a lot of issues with that guy.
Yeah.
I mean, it's early. I mean, I'm willing to like, I'm not trying to critique, I'm not calling it a boring season, but like I feel like because maybe it's 2 bachelorettes, I feel like it's taken a while to get into the season. We still don't even know like how this is going to play out. You almost get the sense when you're watching it, like Gabby and Rachel still really don't. And they're like, well, just, like these roses mean that we both want you here. Like we know that's going to change at some point. We don't know why. And we don't know how, but I think it's eventually going to change.
What did you think about them when they were at their house and they were basically trying to come up with a date idea? And they were like, well, how do we see their abs if it's raining and like whatever? Like, are they really that involved in the dates, or was that all scripted?
Scripted? No.
Or
I
just
mean,
like,
I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say
they had my guess is, from a production standpoint, they were just like, they have a lot of these guys here. Like they've never like filmed a show where week 1, they still have
28?
28 people. They literally don't have enough room in the house.
That was crazy.
Why are there? We couldn't have gotten like air mattresses. There's guys sleeping outside.
I don't know. I mean, they have the bunk beds, and there's always a set number of bunk beds, and they have a couple cots there as well, and they probably just like ran out. And again, these people make decisions on the fly. So night one dragged out, and Gabby and Rachel were probably like, we don't want to send guys home we didn't talk to. And the producers probably got together, had a 5-minute powwow, and we're like, oh, fuck it, we'll just keep them. They'll sleep on a couch, whatever.
Is the mansion, like, is it that big?
Have you? That's
I've
right. You've
never been there. No.
No, it's
like a.
I don't know. I don't know how to describe it. It's just a house.
Isn't it true that it's actually someone's like real home, and they have
It's
it most of the
real
year?
second home.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So they're. It's raining. They probably were just like the producers were probably like, I don't know. Let's fucking just have like a pool party. I think they were just trying to like. We need. It was basically like night 1 2.0.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like that's why it was all like it was this everyone, right? Like let's just have the women show up and just keep hanging out with these guys. I know it's not ideal, it's not one-on-one, it's this big group setting, but it was just I think an opportunity to feel like Gabby and Rachel could like interact with just all the guys, and I think it was more to do with that rather than really getting in to the season itself. But yeah, let's get naked right away.
What would
because
you guys have done for your talent if you would have been on this season?
I don't have any talents like that.
That's the hardest. Being on the spot like that,
It's tough.
It is.
I wouldn't
really
have sang.
tough.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
You really you better have the voice of an angel. Truly a voice of an angel. Not like a pretty good voice for you to go up there and sing to serenade somebody.
Mm-hmm.
Let alone 2 people. Like it's gonna be even a good singer could come across as very
Yeah.
cringe.
I never would pull that off. Never would attempt to try that.
Yeah, I a lot of props to the guys though for like I mean I can't. It's tough to critique.
And once a whole bunch of guys go in front of you, like your idea gets taken, you're like, fuck.
I mean, if I could do the worm, I probably would have done the worm.
yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
like
I thought Jacob, he was the one who came in all like Fabio greased up night one.
He whips
yeah,
on
yeah.
some
He
glasses.
he was like he sat
That
down
was
and was
funny.
like for mortgage. Yeah, I thought that was
Yeah.
very clever.
yeah.
Especially because he's already like kind of
He kind
fuckboy.
of brought it back to like
Yeah.
a level head and like
Yeah.
you know I'm this was a shtick and I'm a normal guy.
Yeah.
Like so yeah, it gave some normalcy, like a good sense of humor. Like what's my talent? I know about like mortgages.
What did you guys think about Johnny though when they asked him who he would kiss, and then he's like both, and then like gave I don't know, he gave me a little like meh vibes.
It's a fine line. I feel like these guys are really trying to like. I don't think they know if they're allowed to like both of these women or
Yeah.
if they're supposed to like lock in. I feel like you can tell these guys really don't know how to play this,
Mm-hmm.
and they're not really getting any guidance from the show itself. So it's like, is this? I don't want to be like, like I don't know. Am I supposed to pick? But I don't really know either of you. So like, so I kind of cut them some slack because it feels like. And my guess is they're not getting a lot of guidance because I think the producers are just letting it play out to decide like who's the first one to make an ass of themselves, and then that'll help dictate our decisions. Is my guess, but yeah, I think everyone's just trying to feel it out.
At what point do you think, like, if you've, like, say Logan last night when he kissed both?
Mm-hmm.
At what point after this do you make it? You've got to kind of make a decision, no?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, you're right. Like now that you're kissing both. What do we think of Logan? I'm starting to like want to hate him.
They're gonna talk like it's
Well, I
they
mean,
know.
Well, he's not doing anything wrong.
Yeah,
I know.
it's okay up until this point, but
Yeah.
he's got to make a decision.
What do we
pretty
think
quick.
of Gabby not telling Rachel that she also made out with?
Well, I think it was clear that Rachel was feeling less secure that night and like not as in her footing. And also like the night started with someone saying to her face, I am here for your friend. And so I think Gabby, I think it was like I don't think it was her trying to omit. I think it was like an emotional intelligence decision of like, I don't want to poo-poo this moment for you by saying I also kissed him.
Yeah.
But it's hard though, because it's like, yeah, it's like, do you give someone
Like, was she
honesty in that
supposed to-
moment?
Was she supposed to say something? I don't know. Yeah. I think she had the best intentions. I agree with you there that she was trying to, she thought the right decision was to not tell her and not take that away from Rachel.
Mm-hmm. It just was like hard for her to feel somewhat rejected and then walk around and see Gabby kissing someone. I don't know. It's just got to be hard.
She's the Bachelorette and she's got all these guys to choose from.
I know.
I mean, it's kind of,
But the way the show is framing it, it feels like they're really setting us up for like a one person feeling less popular narrative.
yeah, that's the show doing that. I don't even know how real that is. knowing how it is knowing what it's like to be the lead, and then seeing how excited Rachel was for Tino.
Tino was her first impression rose.
The leads generally lock in to their favorites early on, and the Bachelorettes have famously really locked in to their favorites. So this idea that now Rachel has forgot that Tino exists, a guy who she's excited about, still has yet to really get to know. So like she's not just like, because in reality, my guess is that she's still excited to get to know Tino, and because she really likes Tino, he's going to be shelved for a one-on-one, for a couple weeks in, because like as far as it relates to the leads, like the order of the one-on-one doesn't matter. It's far more important from a storytelling standpoint to the producers. So this narrative that Rachel has forgot that Tino is there and lost her excitement, but she's so worried about like these other guys that she doesn't know or like haven't even talked to, not giving her attention. I don't think Rachel is that petty or insecure, I guess. I'm giving her the benefit of the doubt that like it's the show trying to create this storyline that doesn't really exist for dramatic effect, because they're like literally scrapping for drama on the first 2 episodes. You know what I'm saying? Like I think it's far more likely that Rachel's content. She's looking forward to getting to know Tino more. Maybe there's a couple other guys that she like has piqued her interest, and she just hasn't had a time to really sit down with them, rather than her like losing her shit because one guy, Jason, was like, just, I want to be upfront with you. I'm here for Gabby.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't think that Rachel is going to like melt down.
But then Rachel has her one-on-one.
Yeah, the Rachel one-on-one with Jordan.
And he was so good night 1 too. Like they
Yeah.
almost kissed on night 1. I feel like he was her like runner-up for the first impression rose.
Here's what is really surprising to me about Jordan going home, because it was the first one-on-one. Gabby or Rachel didn't save Jordan, because I'm confident there's going to be a moment where one of the women isn't into one of the guys and he figures out how to stay on by like pursuing one of the other women who might be interested in.
Mm-hmm.
And you have Gabby, who hasn't had any time with Jordan, it seems like. And maybe Gabby's just like, Gabby must not be interested in him at all.
Right.
Rachel was a little bit. And him going on a one-on-one probably had more to do with like, my guess it was probably like, oh, he's a race car driver. You got the 0G date.
Did it bring you back? Good memes.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was on, I had,
Okay.
it was on my season. I really didn't understand Jordan constantly saying how he's afraid of heights. I understand he's in an airplane.
People usually say I'm scared of flying as opposed to scared of heights.
They're two different things, right?
Also,
like
were
being
there
on
any
a tall
windows?
ladder.
Yeah, they're 2 different things.
Also, they kept bumping their heads.
Oh my God, yeah.
They kept
That
hitting
was
their
painful.
heads.
And floating's not easy. Have you?
I was like,
Floated?
well, how much would it hurt?
Quote of the
Have you ever
episode.
floated before?
Floating is
Not
not
as easy as
easy.
it looked.
I've done the 0G. It's
I
like
lived it.
you're floating. My first one-on-one with Danielle, like wonderful person.
Can we
but
rewatch your season? Wouldn't that be fun?
it's on my Patreon. If you want to do it, I interview all the women for
Oh.
my season.
Fuck me, I guess.
Quick $5.
No, free ad.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, I knew before I even went on the date that I wasn't going to end up with her, you know? And that's nothing against Danielle. Like, there's a lot of these guys that like Gabby and Rachel already know, like, not my guy. But like part of being the lead is just kind of going through it and like going on these dates with people you already know. There's not much there. And so you just go anyways. So I just find it really interesting that the show like let her send him home. Like, was he just like that boring? Like, what was it that they were just like, no, he can go?
I was surprised, but I liked it. I kind of liked it. And I liked how I knew the guys would react the way they did, and they'll kind of like spruced up and like. Now they
No, I thought it was cool from
Yeah.
a show standpoint, but I was just kind of surprised it happened.
Yeah.
Back at the house, Chris started making a name for himself.
We have a face-off between the mentality coach and the life coach.
Oh yeah, true.
Oh my
Is
gosh.
that what Chris is? He's a mentality coach.
Chris is a mentality coach, and Quincy is a life coach.
It's like
but the best was
it's like the
after he-
only person who can protect a life coach in this atmosphere is a mentality coach.
Yeah.
Like a mentality coach can run cover for the life coach because
Yes.
otherwise,
Did you see though, after he sang during the Speedo date, they changed his little thing on the ITM to say tone deaf? They switched out mentality coach to tone deaf.
I saw that. There was another one. Does this all the time? And it was someone who said, I never do this. And their cry-on was, does this all the time.
Yeah.
They seem to be having some fun with that. That's great. I love that.
But Chris was saying that he had deal breakers and started bringing up fantasy suites. And if it kind of gave me a little bit of Luke P energy.
Yeah. Well, even before that, before his Speedo singing performance, he like bizarrely talked about like being the alpha and like wanting to be a leader. And it was like
he said, quote, I'm the alpha, like the number one leader.
No, don't do that.
Yeah. It's like, wow. Show you're an alpha. You never say you're an alpha.
Oh my God, the basketball bouncing and the stomping. I was like,
and it wasn't landing. It was not landing.
Nope, it was not.
So yeah, he started off with some red flags there.
Yeah.
Like walking red flags.
Yeah.
And then he sang. Like, it's that type of singing where like, I mean, he could sing better than I can. I can't sing for shit. So like, I'm not.
But it's not about that though. You could be the best singer, and if you voluntarily just like start, I'm gonna be like, eh.
But that's what I'm saying. You have to have the voice of an angel. Like, you have to open your mouth and have me go, oh God, you're gonna sing, and then have me cry.
Yeah.
You know, like it's so beautiful that I'm just like, oh my God, thank you, angel. But not like you're good enough that your mom and aunt think you're good, but like you still wouldn't make it on American Idol.
Yeah.
If you wouldn't go to Hollywood on American Idol,
If you're not getting that ticket,
Yeah, like even if you get a golden ticket, it's not the place.
I just think it's better to have like that as like a hidden talent and have someone else be like, oh my God, have you heard him sing? Than just to be
it's like you want to be like the dark horse at karaoke who blows everyone's mind.
Yeah,
Not the like anyone want to hear me sing.
When like Gabby or Rachel are pulling, like, just like, come on, like, what is something you're super secretive, like, yeah, you're mysterious. Give me something. Like what's a hidden talent of yours? Be like, well, I mean, I do kind of like to sing. I'm okay. Really? Would you sing for me? No. Like, I would rather, like, I'm like, please.
No, sing.
Please sing.
Yeah.
No, come on. Really, I really, like, it's like, I don't want to serenade you. Like, I don't want to be that guy. Like, no, it would be a personal favor to me if you sing. Okay. Then it's okay.
Yeah.
Only then.
Only then.
Not like, I just want to combine my three passions in life, telling people what to do, basketball and singing. Like, what the fuck?
And then when he was like, do you have any questions for me? And Gabby was like, no.
No,
The look on Gabby's face when he started singing, and it was just like this.
Really love when Gabby doesn't like things.
I know.
Yeah.
It's really great.
It was like when Clayton asked to walk her out, and she was like, no.
When Gabby doesn't like things, it's wonderful.
But I will say this was like a great moment for Nate. I would say like his little like monologue when Chris started talking about fantasy suites and how he wouldn't be okay with it. Nate said, anytime that you have premeditated thought of you wouldn't do that unless of that, that's a form of control and that is manipulative. This could be our queen. That could be the mother of our children.
Yeah.
You cannot have preconditions to love. It's just a form of control that a lot of men just don't realize that they do that damages good women.
That was the moment I liked.
I'll be honest, when he said that, I didn't really understand what he was saying, but I loved it.
Yeah, I liked it.
Because it sounded really nice.
I was surprised that he wasn't the what is it? Mindset? Whatever.
The mentality coach.
Yeah, the mentality coach.
I mean, Nate was, he was probably the winner of this episode.
100%.
I had another great CTA from Jesse Palmer that I noted because of last week's.
Yeah.
They're having fun with it.
What is going on?
Yeah, third glass of wine?
Yeah.
I followed his
Go
instructions.
ahead and get that third glass of wine,
I did.
ladies.
I said, okay, Jesse.
Did he say ladies?
No. But
Love
it was
hurts. We
implied.
can
It was
fix it.
heavily implied that it was for the ladies.
Yeah, why?
Jesse was being a girly. He was like being
Jesse
an
is a
absolute
girly.
in the ideas.
Caitlin should be reading these.
Yeah.
I think it's so much
my
funnier coming from him, though.
But that's a good point. Like this, if it were Caitlin.
Like, if they're going to mix it up, like, this is the Caitlin should be reading these.
It's interesting. I find sometimes when Gabby and Rachel talk, it kind of reminiscent of the Tayshia Caitlin banter.
Mm-hmm.
I do
other
like
people
the
feel like
two
that?
of them. Like the fact that they can do little like regroups with each other. We'll get into like Nate's date, but I thought it was so natural when they're like going into the kitchen. She's like, hey, we're having champagne. You want a glass? Like, it's like,
cool.
that's what girls who are like roommates or friends would do.
I like it on
Yeah.
this season. I didn't like it as hosts of the show.
Yeah.
But I like it for this season. I
Because it's got to just be so lonely. Now that I see it with two, I'm like, I'm not sure I'd want to do it by myself.
Well,
I think there's.
Could you imagine doing it with a guy? Another guy.
Blake's like, you and me, buddy. Let's go.
You want to do it?
You know, it's interesting. I mean, it's really hard to. It's really hard to do. I mean, put it this way: filming it, yes, it would be amazing to have a break. You know,
Yeah,
like
true.
you know
Yeah.
that when Gabby was on the date with Nate, and like it started at their place, and like Rachel was like just there. How wonderful! Like, you know, that was kind of like awkward at first. Like, wow, did he have to come there? But like, Rachel got to like probably chill a little bit. She probably did some pickups and some ITMs like, you know, but like that didn't take all day. But usually as the lead, it's just non-fucking stop. It's just every day a date, and mentally it really must make it much easier for the women. So,
Well, Nate showed up, had a little champagne, got in a helicopter, boom, boom, pow.
I mean, he crushed it start to finish.
Yeah.
did we skip like going over the group date?
Yeah, I guess like going back to that, like, yeah, it did seem like they accidentally ended up with a more Gabby leaning group to the after party, which thinking about it, I would totally kind of spiral if, as the Bachelorette, someone was like, I'm not here, getting rejected in just like a very kind but very direct way
No, it
on TV. Like, I would for sure start to be like,
I get what you're saying, because as the lead, you're told that everyone's there for you.
I think also Rachel is someone who hopes very dearly, or like, I think she's someone who's very present in the moment and has really high hopes for this process. And I think part of her sending home Jordan V was like, I know that there is something off and it's not going to be him in the end. It's not that he's not good enough to make it the cut for a little while.
Totally, yeah.
And so I think Rachel is someone who really is looking for that like kind of perfect fairy tale. And I think having those expectations means that like disappointment probably hits really hard.
Probably. But if that's the case, if then I would expect to see more of Rachel sending guys home on one-on-ones, which I think would be great.
Yeah, I'd like that.
You know?
Yeah, just Rachel continuously
Just
bringing down the
chopping.
axe.
Yeah.
No, really. I mean, like I did that on my season, but I would like to see. I think it'd be really interesting to, especially if one of them did that, where it was like you saw Rachel. Like, I think that would be a very compelling storyline of Rachel like being very matter of fact, but then like is she, you know, having a moment where she has to like wonder if she needs to open up her horizons, so to speak, because she's, you know, has like tunnel vision. I don't know, but it's a compelling storyline if she just keep axing guys on one-on-ones, you know.
Could be a huge change for the show, because I think before I always thought of one-on-ones as like pretty much, especially in the early weeks, like guaranteed rose, unless someone like does something big or messes up in a major way. But it could be a very cool evolution if one-on-ones become a lot more like make or
High
break.
stakes. Yeah.
I mean, I'm all for it. Like I said, I think I sent 8 people home not on a rose ceremony on my season.
Did you?
Yeah.
Good for you. It's
I
hard to
mix
do.
it up. It's
Yeah.
not easy to do. I wanted to
not
give
at all.
everyone their due attention.
Yeah.
And I would love to see that from a Bachelorette. I think it also would go over even better. You know, I think it would come across as more empowering and more kind of like, I know what I want. And like the way she handled the exit with Jordan, I thought was very gracious, and she was very sweet and considerate. And I thought like Rachel came across very well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying. I could see Rachel being rattled through it, and anyone would feel like rejected, but I don't believe that Rachel is going to spiral from this. I don't believe that it's an actual real concern of hers. You know what I'm saying? I don't think she's like going home, going to bed, being like, no one likes me. You know, like I think she's going to be fine, and I think she's a confident person who believes in herself, and she can handle
Totally.
one
She's
guy
secure. She's secure.
not being there for Gabby. You know.
Do we want to talk about the Logan kissing both of them and more in depth? Do we want to?
There's just something about Logan that's kind of he brought up. I clocked him mentioning his niece, and it made me think about you. And I think you said this the other week about like guys who like lead with like their nieces. It's like it's a fuck
my
boy
God,
line.
the prop.
Yeah, it's like
they use their nieces as props. Be like, look at how endearing and lovable, and you thinking of me as a dad, and I'm hot.
And it very much sounded like he just kind of randomly like, don't tell my like.
But it was kind of endearing where he was like, I'm sorry, mom. I'm sorry, dad. I'm sorry, grandma. To my niece, do not watch this. And I'm like, I hear that. Like, you're about to.
Wait, how if that's not using his niece as a prop, what else? What could be? Like
Putting
he
her in
did
a
not-
grocery cart and walking her around the store.
No, I'm just saying. But if you're gonna randomly bring up,
Well, I think it was a well executed.
okay,
Yeah. So I still
you
think
bought
it was.
it was bullshit, but he delivered it in a way.
Yeah,
that,
he did a great job.
Okay, all right.
It worked. I was like, oh, cute. He has a niece.
Yeah, that didn't work on me.
You're on high alert now.
I'm on high alert. I was like, niece, no, fuck boy.
Niece.
Yeah, there's just something about him that's just like, I don't know.
Well, it seems like kind of what you were saying about how there's a lot of men who sometimes go on this, or not a lot, but there's a significant portion of men who maybe don't have the most like banter, suave energy, game, etc. And it seems like Logan is very clearly someone who's easy to talk to
Yeah.
and compelling and nice. But also, you know who else? Eric, the guy who got really upset when he didn't get one of the first impression roses after kind of like schmoozing up with both of them and having good conversations with both of them. I've been kind of like keeping my eye on him as like a little villain.
We'll
Really?
see. No, for sure. Yeah, we talked about this last week. He definitely got some like villain red flags. What he did was not even a big deal, but the way they showed it, they amplified it and made it seem like a big deal because they showed that kind of hidden camera shot, and that hidden camera shot gives you, as a viewer, the I'm not supposed to see this. Like I caught you saying something I shouldn't have caught you say. And that was him showing this kind of petulance or frustration, which like I mean, all he did was, and it was probably like, hey man, are you like disappointed? And he's like, yeah, I thought I was gonna get one, and not that big of a deal. But I think you're right. Like I think we should keep an eye on him. He's very charming. He's a very good looking guy. He seems like suave, but like low key. And I'm really curious. I'd be shocked, and I've already been shocked, so we've been wrong already. But I will be also surprised if Eric doesn't have a moment, if he's good or bad.
You know who we need to talk about? Tyler, because I saw him I was like, who's that hot guy? Like they showed him for just a second and it didn't have like a name under him. He is the Ben Higgins of the season. I think he's going to win. I think he's Rachel's
Tyler?
pick. Yeah, I'm
Hold
saying
on.
it. I'm clocking it right now. I think Tyler is going to be.
Tyler.
He's like a cutie brunette.
Where is this?
Great smile.
Too nice.
You think this guy wins?
Yeah.
Too nice.
And I'm
nice.
I'm
What
wrong
do you
about
mean by
most
too
things.
nice?
He just comes off very. He came off very nice. I don't know. I didn't.
We just don't know anything. Good bod.
How do you know that from a headshot?
Yeah, I just remember the Speedo. I just remember like, good bod.
I can see it in his jaw.
I think he's a cutie and I think he's a sweetie.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
gives
Like-
that off for sure.
Like, what were your who were kind of your standouts either in like negative potential villain edits or like, okay, going far?
I think Jason being quiet. He's like this this low key guy. I think he'll go far. I don't know. I mean,
Jason.
yeah.
He was one who said, I'm here for Gabby to Rachel.
Oh,
Yeah.
handsome guy. Has a Michael Bublé look to him.
He's also taller than I thought. Like when I saw him with Gabby, I was like, oh, you're scaled up. That's awesome.
Well, all these guys are generally tall. Yeah, but it seemed like they were both into him, and I feel like he might be falling flat. He was one of the people selected for this. It was all based off a Speedo competition, so clearly it was like he was hand selected for whatever reason we don't really know, and it seemed like both Rachel and Gabby had their eye on him, and he ended up not getting either of their roses. In fact, we didn't like see much banter from either of them. And that just tells me that, like, you know, like for a guy, you have to make connections pretty quickly. And when you have a moment, like you have to leave a lasting impression. Like the reason why, like, we still don't know about Tyler, right? Because we haven't really been shown any one-on-one time with Tyler. Got put on a very small, intimate group date with 2 leads, not even 1, 2. And yet they didn't really. They showed the conversation starting, but there was nothing about the conversation to show. I think they both think he's hot, and then they sit down and talk to him, and he's not really giving them anything. Like
I think he's like it's a mysterious, quiet thing they kind of like secretly.
Yeah, maybe, but I don't think that gets you that gets you noticed. That doesn't get you to advance. Not in that world. You don't get to play the quiet, mysterious guy very long in that world. You have to like make a connection because while you're playing it cool and quiet. You got Tino like sweeping you off your feet. And then like when you have a sea of guys and you literally are trying to remember them all, you're just like, oh yeah, Jason, I thought he was hot, but like I spent 5 minutes with him and it was like painful to talk to. So I think Jason's gonna go home by week 4. Could be wrong. I've been way off. Like, I mean, again, I think we had Jordan. We had 2 guys go home this week that we had in Final Fours last week. So
Upset
who
City.
the fuck knows?
And also, Brandon went home, like absolute smoke show. Sorry,
Brandon.
Blake.
We're
Shows
jumping
how
all
you're
over
really
the
well.
place.
Did you DM him already, or
No, I'm happily
that's right, I
dating.
forgot. Yeah, they sent home some hotties.
Yeah, some ringers.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, they're keeping like fucking.
Ringers.
What's a ringer?
I think that's the wrong word choice for like ringer. I
Ringer
think
would be
ringer's
more of a
like a bat. He's a ringer.
Wait, I thought.
Googling
No,
it.
I thought it was
ringer-
a good thing. I thought it was like a heavy hitter, like you're a ringer.
No, like in hockey, like you bring a ringer on, like a ring. The guy's a ringer, like he fills a spot.
A
like,
person
he's
or
a ringer.
thing that looks exactly
Really?
like
Yeah.
another.
Okay, this is
Ordinary.
a learning experience for me.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've misused words plenty in my life. so.
I really thought it was like wow. Thank you.
Meatball. Here's the thing about nicknames. I've always wanted a nickname. And I've had a handful. Some stuck with, but like
What were your throw them out there?
lunches.
Lunches.
What?
I kind of like it, but why?
I think I've told this story. Maybe it was before your lady's time. But my brother Luke,
Is that the dentist?
the dentist. When I was in high school, my mom would, you have a large family, a lot of younger siblings. And when I was like a junior, we could you could leave school like in the afternoon and like had more free, like a co-op or whatever. So me and my friends we would like leave for lunch and go to each other's houses and like steal the food out of our parents' houses. And one time we went to my house for lunch and the Capri Sun juice boxes I took, but they were for the lunch, the kids' lunches. And Luke would always say, Nikki, those are for our lunches. And my friend AJ would start calling me Nikki Lunches. And that turned into the lunches. This is all to say that I wouldn't want one of the women calling me Meatball, giving me a rose. Like,
No.
you're not going to get picked.
But he loves it.
Maybe so. But immediately, as soon as they called him Meatball, I was like, not winning. I just don't feel like Gabby and Rachel, they would insist on calling him by his full name. Like, so like if his buddies called him Jimmy, they would insist on calling him James before they would call him Meatball. Or Gabby and Rachel become obsessed with Meatball. And they
What a
send
plot
all the
twist.
other guys home and they fight over
fight over
Meatball.
Meatballs to the wall.
That's also another
And then
possibility.
the final rose ceremony, it's actually Meatball waiting for the two of them, and he is to decide who he proposes to.
He makes them make meatballs and then decides who he wants to. It's like becomes the meatball season. So that's also possible.
I feel like that's your fantasy. Someone using meatball making as a criteria for being a good partner.
I don't know. That meatball sandwich didn't look good.
I would have eaten it. Looked fine to me.
Justin B went home. Also another handsome guy.
Yeah. But he was barefoot all of night one.
He was barefoot, but
Do we think Justin
he kind of
is
looks
starting
like that.
an
Justin B. He
OnlyFans?
looks like Justin Thoreau.
Tudrow?
Justin Thoreau,
Tudrow?
not Trudeau.
Oh, that's what I'm thinking.
The Jennifer is it? It's the guy
you're
who used to date Jennifer Aniston. Is his name Justin?
Yeah,
He
I
was
don't
married.
See it, but maybe.
I see where you're coming from. Face shape. What do we make of who gave who the roses? Because I wrote down.
I don't think it makes any difference at this point
But
because they
what-
said.
Yeah, but what about Rachel giving the rose to Mario? Like that felt.
Well,
She
Mario
got squatted 3
Mario
times.
getting the last rose, that means something. What it means, I don't know. Who gets the roses has nothing to do with the lead's preferences. Spoiler alert. But especially early on, like they wanted Mario to get the last rose for a reason, the producers. They gave Mario the last rose because something told them that they might get a reaction from him.
Well, yeah, because he was on top, and then you kind of are at the bottom.
But it's just like, why though? I've never seen them do that with a first impression rose.
I think because he was expressing interest in Rachel.
Mm.
I think it was kind of meant to be like a watch out. I think it was meant to kind of set the tone.
Did I miss that? He was.
Yeah, so there was one point where he was like picking Rachel up and doing squats with her.
Yeah.
And then Gabby, they made it look like she saw. Who's to say with like filming if she actually saw?
Yeah.
So I think it was to set the
Okay.
precedent of like watch out if you're trying to play.
Because
So
Mario had
missed her first impression rose from Gabby.
Yeah, he had a whole ITM where he was like, "Now is my time to have a conversation with
He was
Rachel."
like, "What's up,
just to make
Gabby?
sure-
What's up, Rachel?"
Interesting. I missed that. Oh, that makes sense. That's why he got the last one.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that seems fair. You know, all these other guys who haven't had any time with Gabby or Rachel, fine. They don't know what they're doing. But Mario, you got a first impression rose, bro. And when it comes to the Bachelorette, that means something. Because like usually that means like they would be ready to like end the season right now if history tells us anything. We don't know if that means the same for Gabby, but you're gonna be playing like I don't know who I want yet.
Yeah, no, yeah, you can't do that.
What do we think? All right, let's debate this. What would be the appropriate response from Mario back on night one for their first impression rose? Because like he doesn't know Gabby, he doesn't know Rachel. So in fairness to all these men, like you know, love is a two-way street. They can't be forced to like someone that you know. Like it's possible Gabby likes one of them, and they're like, I don't know, I'm into Rachel. It's fair. These guys have a chance to decide who they like too. So, do you think if Gabby's going to give the first impression rose to Mario, do you think he should have not have accepted it if he still wanted to like explore a relationship with Rachel, or do you think that's unfair to have those expectations on Mario that early?
No, I think you have to accept it, and I just think that the time that you do have to explore with Rachel, you do it not the way he did, a little bit more carefully.
And subtly.
How so? What do you mean?
You talk to her.
Yes, I think it just needs to be a talk, not so touch, and just kind of feel it out. I think you got to respect the other boundary with.
Yeah, but
like you don't do something that's making her like
Just not to the
cackle,
extent.
giggle.
Yeah, like
she was like hey! Like you know, it was like loud and it was.
It
like,
went well.
Yeah,
it went very well.
Yeah, but like that, in fairness to Mario, you that early, you don't get to pick your spots. Your spots are picked for you. You know, like, hey, it's time to go talk to so and so.
Yeah, but picking someone up is pretty high key.
So he should just not picked her up.
I just would have navigated it a little bit more. I don't know, more close. I don't know. I
So
just
he can
wouldn't have given this
accept
much.
the rose and still consider pursuing Rachel, but he just can't pick her up.
It's not like that. I wouldn't say it's like that, but I just think he was playing with fire a little bit in terms of the way that interaction went. If you're accepting that rose, you got to be more careful with that.
No, I agree with if you're going to accept the rose, you got to be more careful.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It is interesting, though.
I mean, again, it was simply, playful and whatever. It depends where it goes after this. It was playful. And he probably you would think he would know now which direction he's going to go after that little banter. But
after he picked her up.
Gotta get those 3 squats in.
Yeah.
Now he knows. Yeah, I don't know. It is interesting that conundrum someone finds themselves in to get a first impression rose, knowing that you could still be more interested in someone else. But also it begs the why did Mario get the first impression rose? Because it was a surprise to us.
Well, they kissed. Gabby Mario kissed. I think she was his.
Yeah, but kissing.
Yeah, but I feel like there weren't that many kisses night one. And so.
I don't see Gabby giving her first impression rose just because she kissed somebody. I feel like.
Well, I'm sure there was more than that, but I think in terms of like what may have set him apart from the other nice conversations.
More than that, I want to know what the more than that is, because like again, like it's such a different world that these men are in with 2 bachelorettes, right? And they still don't know, but having received a first impression rose on Andy's season, I know that feeling that I got, that like it's just like this weird like this validation, like an excitement, and like weirdly it made me really believe that there could be something there, and that belief that there could be something there made me feel a little more connected to Andy. As bizarre as that might sound, like it had an effect on like my perception of the world I was in getting that rose. right? And I felt like her and I had a really good conversation. Like when she gave me that first impression, when she, you always see that scene of like the leads coming with the rose and walking past. And I just remember being like, I don't know, this sounds crazy, but I think she might say my name. I remember thinking that. And I remember thinking, I know it's crazy and she definitely might not, but like, I think I had a good conversation with her. I don't know. We'll see. And so like, I'm just wondering why Mario, who got a first impression rose, wasn't like thinking like, man, that was a good conversation and we kissed and like, I think there's something there with Gabby. I'm going to lean into that.
Mm-hmm.
And I just got this woman's first impression rose. And I'm just like wondering why he was so quick to like be open to exploring Rachel. You know what I'm saying? Like something's not like registering with me.
In response to why did what beyond the kiss would have given him the first impression rose, Mario was the one who, when they were talking about like vulnerability on the journey, asked, I mentioned this last week, the follow-up question, what does that look like for you? So I think he is like I think his level of kind of like emotional intelligence and the way him and Gabby can communicate on that at a like really in-depth way is part of the appeal.
No, Gabby's, I'm just wondering.
Yeah, no, I don't know why.
Mario. It's interesting that he's. I just don't remember that part, but it's interesting that
there was a glance that Gabby made over, and and the last rose is going to play into next episode, and that's why I'm curious to see how that's kind of handled next episode.
Yeah, no, it's definitely something to like have us talk about in anticipation for next episode. I imagine. It could be anything from a mild confrontation of Gabby being like, hey, like, just kind of noticed and like I gave you my first impression rose and like that's a big deal to me. And like if you want Gabby, then if you want Rachel, like I just tell me. But like that's a big, kind of thing. And I weirdly like am critical of Mario, even though he doesn't have a lot to go on, because I feel like getting that first impression rose, like you kind of have to do something with that. And if you're still like that open, then I feel like he should communicate that to Gabby.
100%. Do you think you would be more likely to like someone who made it very clear they were just there for you, assuming your two bachelor scenario? Do you think you would be more likely to like someone who made it clear from the beginning, like, here for you, I'm not testing out both connections, like I'm locked in, or someone who is kind of exploring? Because of course there's also that, if you don't know you have something, I think it's easy to want it more. It's not a given.
I feel like I'd rather someone test both. I want them to know that I'm the better of the two, like the one that they want. I don't want, but actually, that's the other thing is I came in the other way. I was like, I know what I want. And like, so I'd like someone too that would like wants me. So that's, oof.
I think it's a strong move to go in knowing.
Headstrong, yeah.
Well, in this scenario with two bachelorettes, I think it looks good to say I came for you. That like, I don't know anything about both you women, but like, I haven't met either Gabby and Rachel, right? But I feel like having watched the season that if I were one of the men, I could know who I have a better chance of being, like who I would be more drawn to, personality-wise, looks and things like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just, they're very two different women.
Yeah.
And if I, for the women, I would want a guy who at a minimum knows that like I'm more your type than Rachel. And if you don't know that yet, then like we're not gonna get there in 9 weeks. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like they're very different women, and I would want a guy who like already knows like, Gabby, you're more my speed, Rachel, you're more my speed, and there's nothing wrong with like they're both great women, just very very different. And I just think it comes across much better at a minimum, already knowing that. And like, yeah, I guess your mind can change a little bit, but
I just feel like energy plays such a big part into it. I can come in, I've been wrong a few times. I can come in really thinking something, and then, the energy's way off or way different.
Your mind can change. I mean, Jared, like, I remember he'd always tell me, like, he on the Caitlyn and Britt season, he came in thinking he was going to be into Britt, but that was like his mindset, and that shifted. And granted, like, it was a different season. They picked Caitlyn. I think he voted for Britt, but I think he was really like impressed with night one Caitlyn. He still like voted for Britt because that was like his mentality. But I think as the season progressed, he grew to really care for Caitlyn. But, you know, your mind can change. I just think there's something about like going in being like, clearly that it's two different women. And you're just like one of the guys being like, I don't know, we'll see.
I think you can have a default. I think you can go in with a default, but I think you got to be a little open-minded. Default's allowed, though.
Any other like standouts, either for villains or just like for dark horses?
You know, you think I'd be good at picking this stuff, and I'm just not. Even for my season, guys go home.
You're allowed to
every
be
week.
wrong. You're allowed to be wrong, Blake.
Johnny, I feel like, is going to get into something.
Yeah.
yeah.
Johnny's has F-boy energy.
He'll get into something, but I don't.
He got the group date rose from Gabby.
Oh, yeah, because she
Yeah.
wanted to give hers to Logan.
I don't think he's going to be the villain, but I think he's going to get into something. I don't know. Jacob's kind of got like a confidence too. He'll stand up and say stuff, and maybe Hayden. He's just been quiet. He's been quiet, but he's like a decent looking guy, and like there's something will happen with him to some degree.
Well, we also can't forget, too, we saw in the tease Zach, who was the first one out of the limo, which historically also means something. He had that whole little thing with Jesse Palmer where Jesse's like, this changes everything. Like, what are you going to do? And he's like crying. He's like, I have to tell her. So we can't forget about Zach because that's coming.
Okay. And Zach's a handsome man, 25.
Oh, right, that guy. Yeah,
Disappeared episode 2. Not necessarily a bad sign. Episode 2, frontrunners disappear often on an episode 2.
So then Jason, sorry, going back, I really think Jason has some.
Yeah, there's something there. You know who he gives off? You know, energy he gives off to me is Zach Clark.
Jason?
Zach was very much like, I remember I was always like, he's quiet, he's to himself, he's not really.
Mm-hmm.
And then look what happened there. So he kind of gives that kind of energy.
Were there any other people who you saw folks from your season in while watching? Were you like, oh, they're just like so and so?
Not. I mean, no. Zach's the only one that stands out with him. And I remember when Zach on my season, the first night I met him, I don't think he's going to be around long.
You
And
thought that
was
about
the one
Zach?
guy I was like, I thought he was going home for sure. Just too quiet to himself. Like saying like, you got to stand out and do stuff. But again, like he's just.
Yeah, but you didn't. He was quiet in the group.
Right.
And he thrived one-on-one.
Yeah, he did.
And we saw all those conversations between Zach and Tasha, and we saw him thrive, and we saw them connect. And that's what I'm saying. When we saw Jason one-on-one with Gabby and Rachel,
Yeah,
he
true.
did not shine.
True.
He did not shine. I mean, other than Chris coming back, I mean, do we want to roast him anymore? It was just like...
It was another standout moment when Chris fails, Nate shines. The second that the girls came up and said, we asked you to leave, Nate stood up and was like escorting him out.
that's
And
all
he
I
said,
need to
that's
say.
all that needs to be said.
I'm just shocked in some of the balls on some of these guys. Like, I honestly would want to ask Chris, like, what did you think? Like, what was your goal in that moment? Like, what did you think was going to
Also, he was just such a brat, too, when they walked around. He's like, so what do I do? I just walk? Like,
Oh, no, he was a
Yeah.
prick. I mean, he was every bit the mentality coach I thought he would be. And good for Quincy, who's like giving hope to life coaches, you know? A little weird about I thought he was quite charming. I mean, I knew he was going to be the tattletale. I was watching with that and I'm like, this guy's going to talk some shit about Chris. Give it like 3, 2, 1. And like, it was going to be Quincy. Avon kind of disappeared.
Yeah.
Avon will be back.
He'll be back.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, did anyone else clock Alec wearing the leather jacket? Like the entire like it was just like he was wearing this like big heavy leather jacket like in the house. It was like
Didn't he wear velvet on the
it was
first
like
night?
it was like why you like save that for like an outdoor date. It was like so he must like think he's going home soon and he just really wanted to wear that leather jacket.
Do you wear your best outfits every week because you might go home? Like, how do you do that?
I didn't.
I mean, yeah, I don't.
You did or you didn't?
didn't. No.
So you were like, I'm
Did you
saving
have,
some
like,
good
the-
ones.
Like if I
yeah.
felt things were going like well, I would save it till like if I maybe thought I was gonna one-on-one or something, I'd wear an outfit that I thought for that.
I mean, I guess just after getting Andy's first impression rose, I guess I wasn't worried about like going home week 3.
Yeah.
And then with Caitlyn, it was such a different scenario.
How many suitcases did you bring?
2.
Big ones?
Yeah, two
Yeah.
big ones. Yeah. But I mean, I didn't know how to. I mean, I didn't own any suits up until the show,
Hmm.
so I had to get like a
None?
fashion. Not one. Or like flannel and hats, or I'm shirtless walking around.
How many did you bring?
Like 7.
7. You bought 7 suits?
Well, like mixtures of things. Yeah, I also didn't have any, so I'm like, if I'm gonna, I got a discount on it because I was like, I'm buying a whole bunch. So I was
He
like,
went to
if I'm gonna
Costco.
do
He
it,
got it
do
in bulk.
Wow.
But I also didn't own any.
Sure.
7.
How many did you bring?
I don't remember.
Well, like,
I also had, like, through just being in sales and work, I had some suits. I bought one for night 1. And then I had like, I think I brought like 4 or 5.
yeah, like a jacket, and so not full suits, but like a jacket and like this and that little thing.
And then for Caitlin's, I didn't buy anything new.
Scarves, maybe. Which season was the
That
scarves?
was Andy's.
Okay.
That was Andy's.
An extra carry-on just for the accessories.
Caitlin's was the Aldo bracelets.
Okay.
Yeah. I had a bracelet fetish on Caitlin's season.
Fetish. Do you mean face?
That's how it looked. Phase. Let's try again. Top 4.
Blake, who do you want to start with? Gabby or Rachel?
Gabby, because I don't know for Rachel still. Like,
Okay.
That's tough.
Who's
we
Gabby's top
we could
4?
not have been more wrong last week. So
Gabby, I feel like Eric,
I can see it.
Avon, Tino's for Rachel.
Mm-hmm.
I'll go Zach, and I thought Ryan was going to be there. He's not.
You mentioned Jason earlier.
Oh, and Nate
Nate.
and Jason. Sorry, yeah. So I'm at 5.
Top 5.
We'll drop Zach.
I think Avon needs to be over in Rachel's camp.
Yeah, I'm gonna say Eric too for Gabby.
Is Logan going to be a lasting?
No, I don't see it.
No.
I think he's gonna fuck up
He'll be on the cusp.
because like Rachel basically stakes his claim to Logan, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't see it.
That's the other thing that's kind of a liability about dating both of them is regardless of being accused of being a fuckboy, there's also the I don't want to step on the toes of my friend. So I'm just like,
True.
if I could pick this guy who my friend likes or this other guy who there's no drama and chance of that happening.
You know what I could see with Logan? I could see because like let's think about how that played out, right? Like he made out with both of them, and in this very small group setting where Rachel got a mild rejection from Jason, feeling a little vulnerable, like had a nice conversation with Logan and made out with him, and was quick to tell Gabby, "Oh, I kissed Logan." And Gabby, trying to be the good friend that she was, just kind of was like, let Rachel have that. So he gave her a rose. But by default, this kind of like, this put Logan in Rachel's camp. Now Gabby's is going to like stay the fuck away from Logan, probably, right? She's the one that's like, but I don't even think Rachel is even that into Logan. I think it had more to do with like having a nice conversation with a guy right after the heels of getting rejected. I could picture Rachel quickly realizing that she's not that into Logan, and he'll be around for a while because he talks and he chimes in and he does his ITMs, and Logan being the kind of like unafraid to go getter that he seems to be. I could see him trying to pursue Gabby then, being like, well, hey, I actually felt a connection with you, but like I kind of went this direction. Now she doesn't like me. And I could see Logan actually successfully, at least temporarily, like pivoting over to Gabby's camp.
Yeah, I feel like he's going to get caught up between the two of them somehow. He's going to be the one that I feel like gets caught up.
I don't think he's a top 4 for either of them. But Eric, back to Gabby. Eric, I mean, I guess I'm just going to say Nate by default. I mean, the first one-on-one, they seem to have a good connection. I haven't seen like, you know, like usually you see like some real, that real connection. Like Tino, like Rachel, like he's top 4 for sure. You know, he's going to have to truly fuck up because we know that like just that like unexplainable chemistry that she finds in Tino, like that's not going anywhere unless he totally bombs.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't seen that with Gabby. Gabby plays her cards closer to the vest, it seems like.
Yeah.
I'm going to throw Zach in there for fun. Zach, Spencer, Eric, and Nate
Spencer,
for Gabby. I mean, I'm throwing darts here.
But Gabby did say on the first night when Spencer came out, she was like, "That's my type."
Yeah, I'm throwing. I mean, if I get it right, I'm just gonna. I'm gonna take credit based off of luck. Rachel, Tino,
Tyler.
sure, why not?
Nick's like, I don't care.
Avon. Tyler, Tino, Avon, Hayden, and Tyler. There's my final four this week.
This week.
Half of them are going home next week.
They're all young, for the most part. A lot of them are.
Yeah.
Oh, that's something to consider.
That's the other thing is the age difference because Gabby's 30, Rachel's 26.
I thought Gabby was 31.
Yeah, maybe Gabby is 31 by now.
Spencer's 27. Nate is 33. Eric's 29.
Jason's 30.
Zach's a baby. Tyler's a baby.
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyways, clearly, we're going to be way off there. Blake, thank you for joining us. Any final thoughts you have you want to share? Anything you want to say that might get coverage or press?
No, man, I'm pretty low key and I
Any
like it
shit
that way
you wanna
right
stir?
now.
Yeah.
No, dude.
It doesn't even have to be shit about anyone else, but it could just be about yourself.
No, I mean, I've been staying low key and I've been liking it that way. I mean, just a matter of time probably that I'll get pot stirred somehow anyways. And then at that point, I'll just deal with it when it comes. I've been low key for the most part the last 8 months.
How would you handle someone publicly talking about you that you didn't agree with?
Whoever could you mean?
Why are you trying to start some shit, Amanda?
How would I deal with it?
Not necessarily, but
I'm really not that controversial. I don't like. I probably wouldn't say. I probably wouldn't respond. I mean, with the case stuff, I
it's
didn't
always
really.
the smart stuff, smart way.
Yeah,
We try not to. Well, I
Yeah,
know
but you have reason to,
People
and-
usually generally don't believe. For the most part, we don't respond to most things.
Yeah.
Every once in a while, it's just like, hey, well, might as well get some clicks out of it.
No, I think it depends on the situation. If someone's coming at me hard, it's like, okay, I'll say something. But if it's like hearsay bullshit, then it's like, okay, if I don't give it anything, it's going to pass quicker that way anyways. But there's some things. I mean, if it's attacking character or things I said when I know it's factual or whatever, it's like.
Are you
Then I'll
more
speak
inclined to
up.
defend yourself or defend friends?
Depends how close they are to me, but myself, probably more my friends because I just feel like I can take shits because say it, I don't give a fuck.
Blake, thank you so much for joining us. It's
Appreciate
been a
having
pleasure.
me. Yeah, it's been good.
I've heard nothing but good things about you, man.
Appreciate that. Well, that's good to know, and you know a lot, right? So
I hear a lot about everybody. Only good things about you.
appreciate that.
Please let the people know where they can follow you.
Just my Instagram. I will have a YouTube going up pretty soon with all the wildlife stuff
Okay.
that I have going on. There's lots of cool things coming up. I'm actually going next week with Natalie from Love is Blind to do work with sea turtles in the Caribbean.
Oh, yeah?
Yep. And we're going to do some cool
We're
work with that.
still working on getting her on the show.
She's super funny. She's really funny. I've talked to her a bunch now on the phone, and she's hilarious.
All right.
Hilarious. She's good shit.
And how can people support this cause of yours?
I mean, you can donate to the fund, but I think it's just all about its awareness and education with stuff. So share all the stuff that I'm doing, and it's broader message to important things about endangered species and conservation in general, which ultimately helps us.
All right. Well, thanks for listening, guys. Tomorrow we got Jeff Perlow from the new hit show, The One That Got Away. Plus, we'll be breaking down in great detail Chris Evans' desire to find love and his beautiful answer, and as well as the wedding heard around the world. Jennifer Lopez and Ben Affleck got married.
Chloe Tristan surrogate news.
Oh my God. So much to dive into. Texting Office Hours is back tomorrow as well. Don't miss it. Thanks for listening. Bye. Hey guys, thanks for watching. But before you go, make sure you like, subscribe, and ring that bell so you don't miss any future videos like our Mondays Ask Nick, especially if you're looking for some relationship stories and relationship advice, as well as our Wednesday interviews with your favorite celebrities and experts. See you next time.